Welcome to TMZ Live. Harvey Levin here.
Charles here.
There is a lot of activity in the Diddy case now. It is kind of forming because both sides are now taking stands on issues that are going to be critical to this case. And what is particularly interesting is what just happened with respect to drug use, which is going to be front and center in this case.
We know that in the indictment, prosecutors have said they believe that Diddy drugged his alleged victims to make them more compliant during his big parties, during freak-offs. So now the issue is about Diddy's drug use. And there is a battle over, as prosecutors describe it in these documents, his mental capacity and the testimony of a psychiatrist.
Now, this is going to get a little bit confusing, but I think we can unravel this. So here's what the prosecutor said.
Right. The prosecutor is saying we do not want this psychiatrist to testify to anything having to do with how drug or alcohol use affected Diddy's state of mind during these alleged crimes.
More specifically, whether it excused some of the conduct, whether Diddy, the prosecutors are saying that the defense wants to use this shrink to show somehow, this is what the prosecutors are saying, that even if Diddy committed a crime, he didn't have the intent to do so because he was so whacked out on drugs. That seems to be what the prosecutors are saying. But, I don't think that's right. I don't think that's, and this is my opinion on this, but I think I'm right on this. The defense is not saying that, well, it's a crime, but he didn't really mean it. The defense is saying what happened is not a crime at all. It's a lifestyle. It is a choice that Diddy and the alleged victims made, and that when they engaged in drug use, they did it freely, but there are things that happen when use drugs.
Use these particular drugs.
And particularly like an MDMA or something like that.
But I know that's what you're theorizing could be what the defense is going to say. The reality is, in the documents, we don't know, right? Because...
Yeah, I think one way or the other, no matter how you slice it, what we're talking about is, right, the issue of intent, right? You can't have a crime, at least this crime, without the intent to commit the crimes for which Diddy's been accused. They're saying it may be, Harvey, I think you're onto something here, that it may just be caught up in this entire lifestyle. There's no intent to commit a crime here. What there's an intent is to have sometimes drug using, people are consenting to drug use, and then it leads to a lot of sex, but it's all part of this party freak-off atmosphere, this swinging atmosphere, but it doesn't mean there was ever an intent to commit a crime, and it doesn't mean any crime was committed just because all the people were sort of wrapped up in this partying lifestyle.
I want to go just a tiny bit further than that. It's not even so much intent as what they did is what people do when they take drugs. We know the defense is going to say they're going to argue everybody voluntarily took these drugs, and that when you do, there are inhibitions that just go away. And it is part and parcel of doing this, even though the jury may not be familiar with it. This is what happens when people do drugs. I think that's the point of the defense calling the shrink.
The reality is we don't know. In the documents, there's a lot of it that is redacted that has to do with what this condition, the alleged condition is. So we can't tell for sure, but certainly prosecutors think that it's going to be something about his capacity to make decisions. Because there's a part of it, I just want to read this part that says, they did not offer proper notice, the defense, about evidence of the effects of drugs and alcohol on a defendant's memory or cognitive function.
Now that could be...
So that's what prosecutors clearly think that the doctor is going to testify to.
But that may not be Diddy. That may be the alleged victims. See, that's the point, is that may go to not what Diddy's memory was, it's what the alleged victims' memories were. And I am sure the defense is not going to concede, oh, he committed a crime, but. They're not going to say that. So I think the shrink is going to testify, when the alleged victims testify, their memories may be faulty because here's what happens with drugs. Again, I'm not embracing this. I'm just saying...
The problem with that is that Diddy also did those drugs.
Right.
Right?
So they're saying it's all the lifestyle, which is what we heard on Friday. Now, a huge blow to the defense is that on Friday, the prosecutors won, and the Kelce video is going to be admitted in this trial, and that is going to be critical.
Yeah, we know it's going to be critical. I mean, one, we've all seen the video. We know everyone has opinions about it, and we saw this in practice when we did our last Diddy documentary, and we talked about his potential defense. We had a mock jury, and they saw the video.
And they also heard evidence. They heard the arguments on both sides, and they deliberated, and they were on 3 counts, and they were hung up on 2 of them. But on the sex trafficking, they convicted him unanimously. And I debriefed them and asked them what moved them.
How many people did this profoundly impact in making your decision, that Kelce video? Show of hands. So it really impacted you folks. Did it turn it for you?
Yeah.
Why?
Being a woman myself and seeing a woman like that just made me more sensitive to the whole case itself, and probably maybe more siding with the victims, seeing a victim instead of him being the person that was attacking her. So I can't side with him because I don't see anything done to him in that light that was done to her.
I didn't know much about the case at all, so I came in completely objective, and watching him beat his girlfriend, he's like prohibiting her from leaving as well. It's very distressing to watch.
It had a huge impact. And again,
You know what's interesting
he's not
is
being
that-
tried for that, but it is impactful.
What I thought was interesting is that the jurors who raised their hand, it was a cross-section. It wasn't just white people, it wasn't just black people, it wasn't just men, it wasn't just women.
Everybody, yeah.
That's
Absolutely, that's so important.
very telling.
And by the way, will be extremely important when it comes to jury selection. And a
Right.
lot of people think this case begins and ends with the composition of this jury.
Now, that video, I think, certainly plays a role in at least one of the questions, if not several, that Diddy's defense plans to ask the potential jurors when jury selection begins a week from today.
This just came out.
Right. These are they filed 30 questions that they plan to ask during the voir dire process. Here are a few critical ones because clearly sex is going to be a big deal here. They said, there may be evidence in this case about people engaging in sexual relations with multiple sexual partners. Would hearing about that type of evidence be difficult for you? There was also a follow-up question about people cheating, where they say, look, there's going to be evidence about people cheating on boyfriends or girlfriends. I think that is interesting because Diddy's explanation, I won't say defense, explanation for what happened in that Kelce beating video is that they were arguing, that was the tail end of an argument about him cheating with someone else.
That's
that
right.
She had seen his phone.
His phone. Now, I'm surprised at that first question. What I'm surprised about are the words, would it be difficult for you? I'm surprised at that because I thought they were going to make it more about whether jurors would be judgmental about it.
Right.
Not that it's difficult, but do you look down on people who have this kind of lifestyle? Because I think that's what you want to hear. And I'm assuming they're going to ask that in follow-up questions.
Right.
But it's not about, is it hard to hear? It's, do you judge people poorly if they engage in that type of lifestyle?
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, is what the defense wants to hear.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's what they're trying to get to there. But obviously, there's a way they word these things and then
And then they can follow up, right.
Just a couple of the other questions that are in there. There are a total of 30. One, this is interesting. Do you believe that wealthy people get away with things that the less wealthy do not?
That's the celebrity justice
That's the
question.
celebrity, exactly. Are you going to judge him because he's a celebrity? How are you going to feel about that? And then another one about drug use. Do you have any personal experiences or opinions about drug or alcohol use or addiction?
See, the hard one there is, are jurors going to be honest about that? Yeah, I've done cocaine and heroin or MDMA.
Well, you could also say, I have a friend and I saw what they went through, right? So, you know what I mean? Like, there's a way around. The juror doesn't have to go,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I did lots of coke.
But you know what I'm saying. It's like, how far are these jurors going to go?
They're not going to go on trial. They're not suddenly going to find themselves on trial if they say, well, yeah, I did try MDMA.
Some of them are going to feel that way. when they're asked that question. I just think that's a really it's an important one.
Yeah.
But I think it's really interesting.
What's up, everyone? I'm AMG Benzo down here in Atlanta, and I have 3 things to hit on. The Cassie video is definitely play a big part in this whole the jury and what they decide to go with. The jurors being selected is going to be a major thing because it's going to be hard to answer those questions you all said. And them saying the intent behind Diddy's drug use, I just don't see that happening because at the end of the day, he runs several businesses. And I get that these happen at freak-offs, but it's still, even when you look at the Cassie video, that happened during the day. So some of these incidents aren't all happening at this freak-offs that they're talking about. But I don't know. I wouldn't want to be on the jury. That's just me.
Interesting.
I wonder how many people do want to be on that jury, because I think a lot do. I think a lot do.
I think a lot of people have made up their mind
This
just based on what they've seen so far.
This case is going to largely be determined by the composition of this jury.
Yep.
We're taking a break.
All right, when we come back, we know that Taylor Swift and Blake Lively are in a little feud actually not a little feud, they have not hung out with each other. Well, guess what? Now their men are getting involved. We're gonna tell you what Travis Kelce did, makes it clear which side he's standing on. Not shockingly, he's with Taylor. Well, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are not laying low anymore. They were out and about this weekend. They went to one of the matches for his soccer team. You know, he owns a team over in the UK. And they went to that game, were pressing the flesh out there with fans who seem to react positively. Obviously, the soccer fans there love him. And Blake was along for the ride. They also went to the premiere of her latest movie and actually stood out there posing for photos.
I think what's really
something they haven't done in a while.
That's interesting. That's what's really interesting.
Because they had some of their famous friends there. You see Hugh Jackman, who has been at a lot of different things with them. Stanley Tucci's there. I think Stanley's in the movie, actually. So what's interesting about the friends part is that one of Blake's closest friends, Taylor Swift, well, we know the rift between them that came out when those text messages were released, and
she felt used. Taylor felt used by Blake because during that showdown at Blake and Ryan's penthouse
with Justin Baldoni,
she believes that Blake timed it so she would unwittingly walk in when Justin Baldoni was there and make it appear she was on Blake's side. And Taylor said, I did not have a dog in this fight. I didn't know anything about it. And then she finds out that Blake's been dropping her name in town.
And that Blake referred to her as her dragon.
So there is a rift there, for sure.
Yes, and now Travis Kelce is right in the middle of all this, too, because he's done something that it may sound petty, and this is...
I've always dismissed this.
Kind of high school. It isn't in this case. He has unfollowed Ryan Reynolds.
This is a really big deal in Hollywood, you guys, because everybody looks to see who every single celebrity is following, especially Travis Kelce, someone that's in the public eye. So much so he's dating the biggest pop star of our time. So fans could not believe it when he unfollowed Ryan, which, by the way, Ryan still follows Travis. So that's really telling that it's more like Taylor and Travis versus Ryan and Blake, who are kind of the ones that are just like, did we do anything wrong? We don't think we did. So, yeah, I mean, it just shows you that this is the beginning of the end. And by the way, we also have not seen Taylor and Blake together ever since those text messages were released.
I don't know you ever will again. Charlie, I got to concede. I have argued with you about this for a couple of years now. That I always said it's silly. I'm waving the white flag. You're right. You're just right. I mean, clearly.
We need to mark down this day. This day will go down in history. I love those words.
Hi, my name is Maritza, and I'm from New Jersey. And I don't think that this PR run that they're going on is going to make much of a difference. I think that a lot of the people already know what they're all about, and we're just laughing at them at this point. I know in the present, like when you're in front of them, maybe you're all smiles, but we know what the real deal is. They can sign cameras, they can kiss in public. We just don't believe them anymore.
Where are you? I'm trying to figure out what that building is behind you.
Oh, I'm in downtown Manhattan by the World Trade Center, so that's probably New Jersey over there.
Yep. Yep. Okay.
You know it well.
We're going to Paris.
Yes, going to Paris where, unbelievably, a trial is beginning for something that happened.
Almost 9 years.
Kim Kardashian was tied up and thrown in a bathtub.
At gunpoint.
At gunpoint, and the robbers made off with nearly $10 million in jewelry. They are now the 9 people, 5 of them who were involved directly with the assault on Kim, and then 5 others who were accomplices, now going on trial.
They're calling them the Grandpa Group.
Yeah, and in fact, they were between 60 and 80 years old when the crime occurred. So
it's sort of like a criminal cocoon.
By the way, one of them has died.
Yeah.
In the interim, and another one has dementia so severe that in fact he was deemed was not fit
You got to wonder,
trial.
Given their age, why did it take 9 years? Because a lot can happen in 9
I was
years.
wondering the same thing. I read this morning that part of it had to do with other major events that happened in Paris, like the bombings, that they were busy trying the defendants in those cases. So,
but Kim is going to testify. She's going to testify on May 13th. So she's going to fly over there. I'm assuming Courtney and Kendall may testify too, because if you remember, they were at that hotel, went to a club and took Kim's bodyguard. So she was alone when these guys posed as police officers and broke into the hotel suite.
But the trial started today.
And they picked a jury.
Yeah, jury selection was underway. They have apparently selected a jury. Now, what's interesting to me here is that in France, jury trials are very rare. They're only for the most heinous of crimes. Here in America, we have them all the time. There's probably a population that's used to hearing testimony in a jury trial and so forth. In France, it's very rare. So even selecting them, a case of this nature and so high profile, it's going to be an odd thing in France. It's probably going to be an absolute media bonanza, just given the nature of it.
6 jurors were picked today, so testimony begins tomorrow. And you know, it's really interesting because Kim is testifying May 13th. That's 2.5 weeks out.
2.5 weeks
into this ain't going to be a quick thing.
No, they think the trial is going to last until, I think they said May 22nd is the projected closing date, and then they expect a verdict by May 23rd.
It's really interesting that Kim has been such a proponent to get people out of prison who she says are either innocent or have served more than their fair share of time. And now she is a crime victim testifying for the prosecution. It's interesting.
I am Andy from Beverly Hills. And look, I do want the best for Kim. I think that she deserves to get justice. I really hope that she goes all the way to get these guys to jail. But also, like, let's keep it real. It has been a decade. Like you said, one of the guys is dead. The other one doesn't even remember what happened. And I think Kim is also going through so much dealing with, Kanye's crazy ass, that it's just going to be too much for her. But I really, really, really hope that she gets what she needs, some closure to move on, or at least a great season for the Kardashians next year,
Oh, it's going to be on the show. It will be on the show for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be really interesting. By the way, I know this sounds frivolous, but it's not. It matters in a lot of these cases. What's she going to wear in court? And I'm actually really serious.
Well, there's no doubt that Kim Kardashian's celebrity, you talk about this all the time, your famous Dolly Parton example.
That's what I was thinking.
That her celebrity is going to sway the jury one way or another, for sure.
You would think. Okay, we're taking a break.
All right, when we come back, the great sperm race. Yes, it may have seemed like it was a joke when we were talking about it last week. It went down this weekend. When we come back, we'll be joined by the reigning champion. Which
reigning is not the greatest.
Probably not the best. The champion. Was it from USC or UCLA? You're going to see. He'll be here with us when we come back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Justin Timberlake made Portland kids' dream come true by joining a bike bus ride. And they always listen to Justin Timberlake.
Cry me a river when they fall. Yeah, right.
It's TMZ.
Biggest sporting event of the weekend.
Absolutely.
Not talking about the NFL draft. Apologies to Shador Sanders. We are
Sperm
talking
race.
about sperm race. The very first one went down in LA, and it was
It was an event.
Packed house downtown,
Yep.
where people wanted to see the competition between a USC student and a UCLA student.
The idea was whose sperm is the fastest. And, you know, these guys trained. It had to do with eating healthy, exercising, and whatnot. They
A little
were
trash talk, which
little
turned
trash
into
talk.
a quote-unquote fight.
So there were a bunch of people there. It's USC versus UCLA, just like
that a
basketball.
glove? Was he slapping him with a glove there?
Well, you should have a glove, right? You got to
Very
have
old school.
protected fights.
Oh no, it's a whip actually.
So this was a big deal. And again, it sounds goofy, but it's actually, there's a point behind it, which is the fertility rates for young people have really gone down, and they wanted to raise awareness.
Right.
And it was fun. And
It was definitely fun. I don't know how much awareness was raised, but it was definitely fun. But we'll get into the awareness side of it. Joining us now.
No. Let's show the race.
Oh, you want to show the actual race?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
sure. All right. Well, and we're going to be joined by the winner of this race. So you're looking there in the circles there. It's like the holding pen for the sperm cells from each competitor.
Think of a horse race before the thing goes up.
And then they get released into the channels where they're racing. They're kept separately there. So UCLA's on the top channel, USC in the bottom. It seemed kind of neck and neck for a bit.
It did seem neck and neck. I'm not sure that's the appropriate way of putting it.
Yeah.
But when you're going to see it change colors in a minute, and then you're going to see USC just sprint
USC
ahead.
orange there.
That is USC, folks.
There's
and
one guy there who would not be denied. One sperm cell said, I'm taking this thing.
now that's the winner, Tristan. Look at the loser. White slime. So it was a big thing, and it was fun, and it was a hometown rivalry, and we got the winner and the organizer.
Indeed. Join us, the organizer, Eric, and Tristan, the champion, the reigning sperm race champion. Did he get a belt?
Yeah, what did you get,
what
Tristan?
did you get, Tristan?
I got this right
Oh,
here.
no.
I'm sorry I asked. I should have known better.
Oh, my God.
That's pretty cool. You could turn it into a belt, I guess, of sorts.
I don't know where to put this. It's
Yeah.
like it doesn't really fit on a wall or anything. So we're gonna figure out how I present this amazing monument that I've achieved.
Oh my God.
And look, I mean, I know you actually really trained for this too. So just take us to the moment.
Yeah. We were training for about a month, and so I got $1,000 every single week to enhance my biomarkers, which was eating foods high in zinc and antioxidants, making sure I'm in the gym about 6 days a week, having that rest day. Also making sure my body's just taken care of to the maximum potential. I also took supplements. I had like ashwagandha to help reduce cortisol and testosterone. So I got a lot of really good help and tips just online as well. My sponsors helped me out a ton, and it took me to the victory.
I got to say, this was brilliant. And you now have the first annual. Are you going to keep this thing going? Because it was fun. You drew a huge crowd. A, you must be happy, and B, what's next?
Initially, I thought, I wasn't incredibly satisfied with the production or during the events, but I think the live stream and stuff like that worked out really well. And there's a lot of things we learned from this, but 3 months from now, I think we're going to do something in Vegas where it's going to be massive, have a higher budget, more time to kind of do. This was put together in the last 20 days, so it was a lot rushed. We haven't slept for the last 20 days, so I'm excited to get some sleep after too, once I fly back to San Francisco. But yeah, I think the goal is bigger and bigger. Maybe Olympics in 4 years, or maybe somewhat bigger. But maybe even bigger than the UFC.
Olympics?
You had actually talked about doing a celebrity one in Vegas. Are you still thinking that?
Any outreach going on?
Yeah, 3 months from now. I think we have some pretty big names that are coming and a lot of big performance too. So we have a pretty big budget to kind of go all out on the next one. I think, this was like a binary outcome. It's either this worked out really well or it didn't work out. And I think the clips, from what the clips are saying and what the internet's saying, I think we probably did something right there. And I think we nailed the race component pretty well.
So, Tristan, speaking of swimmers, I'm wondering, is this possibly a little bit of a curse? Because you had talked about, your dating life and whatnot when we had you on TMZ Live last week. So if the women you're thinking of dating think that, yeah, you are too potent for, for safety.
I was wondering how you're going to get out of
Well,
this.
this could kind of block your game.
I don't think that stopped me. I don't think that I'm really too concerned about it. I always stay protected. I think that's my main priority. I think that everyone should stay protected with, their sexual health. And I think that a lot of people think this is funny. I think people think it is also really cool just because it's the first thing to happen like this. But I don't think it's going to hinder me in my dating life or anything like that.
Bragger.
It is a good icebreaker. It's a great icebreaker in conversation.
Two truths and a lie. I'm never going to go wrong.
Hey, guys, I got to say, this was so fun. It was fun putting you on last week. It was fun watching it and putting up on the website. Really ingenious. And
looking forward to see where you go with this.
Congratulations, both of you. This was a great idea. Really fun.
Thank you. We got more to come.
So, yeah. Tristan, when are you putting this on your Hinge profile?
Oh, man, it's already there.
Oh, all right. Well, we gotta go check his Hinge profile.
Okay, guys, we really appreciate the time. Congrats. That was so fun.
On the Hinge profile, do you take your picture out and just
I don't
put
know.
the trophy?
I have no idea.
You just put the trophy.
But all I know is there are a lot of double entendres there. Okay, we're going to take a break.
Yes, more to come. When we come back, 60 Minutes calling out their own parent company, Paramount, over a battle with Donald Trump, a battle that led to the executive producer of 60 Minutes quitting. How Scott Pelley got this through the censors at CBS.
It is shocking.
You'll hear what he said when we come back. Welcome back to TMZ Live. Something really shocking happened on 60 Minutes. This all has to do with a battle that continues between 60 Minutes and President Trump.
You know, Trump is suing 60 Minutes, claiming that 60 Minutes unfairly edited the piece they did with Kamala Harris. I don't understand the lawsuit at all because number one,
they can make editorial.
They can do whatever they want, but even if he's right about it and there's something shady about it, which there's no evidence of, what are his damages? He won the election.
Right.
Right.
And so why is that even an issue? Well, last night, Scott Pelley, one of the correspondents and hosts of 60 Minutes, did at the end of the show kind of a shout out to their former executive producer, a guy named Bill Owens,
who quit last week saying that Paramount, the parent company, was meddling, presumably gun shy with Trump.
Right. And Scott wanted to thank Bill Owens, but also really chastise Paramount, which of course owns CBS and 60 Minutes. This is what he said.
Bill resigned Tuesday. It was hard on him and hard on us. But he did it for us and you. Stories we pursued for 57 years are often controversial. Lately, the Israel-Gaza war and the Trump administration. Bill made sure they were accurate and fair. He was tough that way. But our parent company, Paramount, is trying to complete a merger. The Trump administration must approve it. Paramount began to supervise our content in new ways. None of our stories has been blocked, but Bill felt he lost the independence that honest journalism requires.
So here's what I don't understand. We know lawyers. I mean, big companies have lawyers.
Big shows like 60 Minutes have lawyers that pore over everything.
Everything. And, look, it is unsurprising to me that Paramount is, we know the way lawyers are. I mean, we've seen it in various companies we've been at.
Right.
And it's not at all shocking to me that Paramount is, do you really want to do this? Or there might be exposure here.
Because they want to get that approval for the merger. But what's shocking is that they allowed. Right. I was watching it and I was like,
how did that get through?
Especially with the big law. I mean, obviously, too, Donald Trump is suing CBS for $20 billion for that.
But it's more, but Mike, it's not even so much Trump. It's that Scott basically called out their parent company and said they are meddling and they're doing it because they are trying to kowtow to President Trump.
And I think the word pressure is appropriate here because that's the only thing I can think of that would cause the EP to quit. That he said they didn't kill anything, but clearly there's some feeling of pressure, which is what caused because he said the lack of independence.
Right. No, I agree. My point is that I would think, and like you said, we all know lawyers, given that Trump has shown that he is willing to sue networks out there and that he already's got an active pending lawsuit against CBS for $20 billion, then Paramount, which owns CBS, which is trying to complete what is an $8 billion merger, I could see them being very gun shy, where they would even exercise more caution because of what's already going on with Trump. That's my only point there.
Well, no, I think it's a good point. I mean, look, if they were doing a story that's critical of Donald Trump has already launched 2 criminal investigations against 2 government officials who disagreed with him on something. He has gone after universities. He has gone after Democratic fundraising organizations that he doesn't like. So I'm thinking Paramount is thinking if 60 Minutes does a critical story, he's not going to get the merger approved.
Hi, it's Melissa from Washington. So in my opinion, shout out to Scott for, putting that on the air and saying that. But as far as things go with Bill, I mean, we all have to have our professional morals, and he's doing what he feels is best for journalism and his career, and probably dodging a bullet if I had to guess.
Well, I don't know what the bullet is. This seems to be the way of the world these days, with law firms, universities, media companies. I mean,
The thing is, we've seen very few people sort of stand up. Harvard is in the middle of doing it, standing up to these things from the administration.
Law firms
Bill
aren't.
Evans, law firms have not.
Are not.
No.
Okay, we're going to move on.
Yes, going out to Stagecoach.
Yeah.
Okay, that was offensive, I think.
I thought that was good.
But yes, Stagecoach. Lana Del Rey got a lot of attention for something she said on stage about maybe the biggest country star. But this is what she had to say about Morgan Wallen. And it's interesting that if you're Lana Del Rey and you're just maybe country adjacent, do you want to shade the biggest guy in country?
Oh, I don't think she should. Well, I don't see it as shading.
Huh? All right, well,
let's listen.
Here's what she said.
I kissed Morgan Wallen. I guess kissing me kind of went to his head. If you want my secret to success, I suggest don't go ATVing with him when you're out west.
That's not shady.
Well, she says the last time, I'm going to say, why is it the last time? It felt to me like there was something behind it that she doesn't mess with him anymore, doesn't like him.
She has a husband now. I mean, can you imagine? Her husband's probably stop talking. She married that guy that she met in Louisiana.
Well, he's probably a Morgan Wallen fan.
The crocodile guy.
Yeah.
So she's probably thinking, listen, maybe I should probably drop Morgan's. It's an old fling. Drop his name from the song. I'm booed up now with a man. We're married.
Yeah.
So out of respect for her husband,
boy.
All right.
Morgan Wallen's bedpost must have lots of notches. That's an old thing, He's dated everybody. He's just dated
let's take
everybody.
a break. Can we
Okay,
please?
we're going to take a break.
All right, when we come back, Bill Belichick's interview with his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, sitting right next to them the whole time. Why she interrupted the CBS interview multiple times, and why people think that this says more about who's wearing the pants in their relationship. Well, Bill Belichick is selling a book. He's out pushing a new book, a memoir he wrote.
How to Regain Youth.
That was not the title, although that is relevant here because while he's out promoting it, his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, seems to want to make sure that she is not a big part of that narrative, or at least aspects of their relationship. But he sat down for an interview with CBS Mornings, and during the interview, Jordan was sitting right off to the side, and according to CBS, she frequently interrupted the interview. They actually left in one of those interruptions because I think they wanted, this has really become the story that's come out of it. Sorry, it's not so much Bill's book people are talking about, it's Jordan.
You have Jordan,
right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
Well, they met on an airplane. We know that.
Right. And
but wait a minute. She said
she
we're
asked
not
for an autograph.
Wait a minute. We're not talking about that?
Yeah. I mean, that was, talk about stepping in
We're
and dropping.
not talking about that?
Dropping the hammer. Said, no, we're not doing that. By the way, you gotta love Bill Belichick doing this interview in his Navy sweatshirt with the hole in it.
It's on brand.
It is on brand. And as I was watching it, I was thinking, I don't know this for a fact. How old is Jordan? 24?
She's 24, 25.
That sweatshirt is probably older than her.
Although that's kind of a thing now. If you're 20, you wear a T-shirt with holes in it like that.
But
So she has made him younger.
This whole interview is raising questions about their dynamic. I mean, a lot of people consider Bill Belichick to be one of the most dominant and fierce leaders in the NFL. And then here his 24-year-old girlfriend is kind of calling the shots. He didn't even oppose to her saying, we're not talking about that. He's like, yes, whatever Jordan wants. And that's how it is.
He didn't try to
She was so alpha there.
He's like, Jordan, I got this. No, none of that. He was like, whatever she says goes.
Wow.
Huh. Interesting.
Hey, it's Justin Littlechild calling from Wetaskiwin, Canada. Bill Belichick's just living his best life. You know, he's got a great young girlfriend. I don't think he really cares about the opinions of people. You know, he's just out there living it up.
That's for
just
sure.
Hysterical.
Now the question is going to be, who's calling the plays at North Carolina?
Really?
Is it Bill or Jordan?
That's funny. Okay, every weekend we put polls up on the website. Want to see how you feel about things that we reported on last week. We did it this weekend. And here
we go. Whose side you on? Shannon Sharp or the Jane Doe accuser? I think I'm going to go Shannon. No.
How about that?
Wow. Interesting.
I thought that was kind of predictable. Next, Shannon offered to settle for $10 million. Proves he's guilty, or no way, it's just to keep lurid details private.
I don't know which way they're going.
It's kind of the same thing.
No.
It's
I guess
kind
it
of
is.
the same
Yeah, I
thing.
guess it is about the same. Yeah, it is the thing. Bieber is under the spell of his pastor. Definitely feels like a cult, or nope, Justin's his own man. I really don't know.
They're going the top one.
These are good questions.
Yeah, they did.
Definitely feels like a cult. Interesting.
Okay, Scott Peterson should get a new trial. For sure, new evidence suggests innocence, or no way, he's guilty as hell, and that's going to be overwhelming.
Yep, 90%. 85.
I'm actually surprised.
Yeah.
Okay, next one.
Sydney Sweeney and Jonathan Davino. They'll get back together, or never, ever, ever getting back together.
Sorry.
Yeah, you had to do that, huh? Wow. See, they think she's moving on.
I think that's accurate.
It's the puppy.
Okay, next one. We'll do two more. Billy Ray and Elizabeth Hurley, perfect match or mismatch?
Mismatch.
Yeah, that's what they're going to say. You know they are. And they did.
And last one, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. He's got to go, or he should stay put.
I'm interested in this.
Yeah.
I don't know how they felt. I'm so interested.
Got to be close.
How about that?
Where most of these things are, when it gets political, it's usually pretty even. That one is not even close.
That is really interesting. Okay, we're going to take a break.
All right, when we come back, Travis Scott's Coachella appearance, really expensive. And I'm not talking about the ticket prices, I'm talking about what it costs in fines. The number is in. You'll find out when we come back. Boy, that Travis Scott set was at Coachella. I mean, look at it's beautiful staging. And the crowd certainly loved it.
Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah. Well, the folks at Coachella, not loving it as much today. I don't know who ends up paying this, but look, they have very strict rules about how late you can go. Their noise ordinances. This is for the people who live around the polo grounds there. And he went late, so it is now costing them $20,000 in fine.
Well, Coachella operates under a very strict set of rules with the city of Indio. We know that Travis Scott, this was the performance on April 12th. His performance started at 11:30 p.m., went till 1 a.m., and obviously went a few minutes afterward. And the rules that Coachella goes by with the city is that the first 5 minutes is $20,000, and then every additional minute after that is $1,000 to deter them from going over. It's not surprising. I mean, I know the city probably has first responders, medical staff all beefed up, probably trying to go home themselves. Like you said, 2 residences around the Indio grounds there as well. So it's totally understandable that they're trying to deter this from happening.
You know what this is? It's like wink, wink. Yeah, neighbors, we're going to protect you, knowing they're going to go over. They get the money. The neighbors are pissed off.
feel like the city's doing something to help them.
That's right.
Hi, Nikki from NYC, and I just want to say that me personally, I think that the set, first of all, looked amazing. And I think it's more so about the audience more than anything. So as long as the audience was happy, he should be happy, as well as Coachella. However, I think just as a sorry or maybe an apology, it would be good faith for him to actually pay the fine. Maybe even donate to the city. That's just my opinion.
Well, they'll pay the fine. Again, this is brilliant on the part of the city, because it's like, oh, God, we're sorry, neighbors, but we're doing something for you. Meanwhile, they get money, which is what they need. What else do you guys want to talk about?
Hello, my name is Honor, and I'm in Washington, D.C., and I'll be speaking about the Diddy case. While I love that an attorney is trying to argue every legal theory to protect his client, this one may be a stretch. Diddy's defense, arguing that he didn't have the mental capacity to commit the crimes during the actual freak-off, is irrelevant because all of the freak-offs were planned. He wasn't wasted when he asked his assistant to buy the baby oil. He wasn't wasted when he set up the camera. And even if he was wasted during the actual freak-off, he definitely wasn't wasted when he saved the footage from it.
Well, we should say prosecutors think that's what they're going to have the doctor testify.
Can I just give you one word of advice, if you wouldn't mind? You should never become a judge. Well, they're going to say, Your Honor. They're going to say, I know, but if they say Your Honor, you're going to say, yes, I am. I mean, it's not going to make any sense. Right?
Fair point.
Okay, what else?
Hello, I'm Bree from New Jersey, and Ryan Reynolds must have learned the hard way. When it comes to Travis Kelce, blood is not thicker than Taylor Swift.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Case closed on this one, I think. Okay, we're taking a break.
All right, when we come back, Whitney Cummings has a very serious domestic issue that she needs to share. Something really strange is happening in her house. She's fed up. Whitney Cummings wants people to understand that there is something happening in her house. She and her boyfriend, Chris Cole, professional skateboarder, share a home, but she is unhappy with something he is doing. And this probably applies to a lot of you out there.
What do I do about a man that only makes his side of the bed? I mean, this is what mental illness is this, and where have all the cowboys gone? So I sent a photo of the bed half made. He thinks this is funny. Oh, there you are, look. He's in the background. You're such a stinker.
That's hysterical.
I love that her response to him laughing is, do you want to break up?
That's hysterical.
You know what? I got to side with Chris on this. I just think it encourages your partner to
be responsible.
Be responsible and also make their side of it. It's like, we're in this together. I'm doing my part.
Just one note, too. And don't poop on the other side if you're mad. Okay? That's a good takeaway.
That
we'll
was unheard of.